is an estate farmer, and we stand here before you to prove that we as coffee farmers, we want to remove the differences between the cooperatives and the estates. We want to put it to you that we are all coffee growers in this country. And today, we are assembled here to talk about the coffee growers, not the estates, not the cooperatives. And I humbly request that you allow me to give her a chance to introduce herself in the best way she can. Madam.
God is good all the time. Mugeni. A Kristo tolitani ngogesha mwadhani. Morega. Okay, I'm Rosemary Mororia, and Matu is my other name. I'm a farmer in Nyeri Estate, small and medium. I'm the chairperson of the Nyeri Estate Farmers Association. Also, I'm the organizing secretary at the national level for the estate farmers in Kenya. Your Excellency, we are very privileged to be here today. It is for the first time that even the farmers come into such a high office to come and state our case. And we want to be heard. And from what we've heard, it seems like you have our interest at heart. And also, if we give what we feel should be the way forward, then I think we are going to be getting somewhere. And as farmers yesterday, we said, if we don't make it now, it is never. For the last 60 years, coffee has been here with us, independence, but we've been having all these issues in coffee along the value chain. So it's now and then. Thank you. So, Your Excellency, sir, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, we take this opportunity to pass our gratitude to His Excellency the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, yourself and the government for making the initiative to reform the coffee sector with a special focus on supporting the coffee farmers. We also note, Your Excellency, that this is the first coffee conference to be held in this country since independence. It is also not lost on us that this conference is farmer-centered in the spirit of Kenya Kwanza bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Your Excellency, sir, while significant progress has been achieved on the policy and institutional reforms front in the past, there has been minimal disseminal benefits accruing directly to smallholder coffee farmers. Proceeds from the coffee, from the crop, remain low and erratic as ever, fueling widespread frustrations throughout the coffee growing regions, which are about 32, 33 counties in Kenya. Initial hopes of sector recovery have been replaced by despair and anger as farmers wonder why the lofty promises of the sector revival, debt forgiveness, aggressive exports, marketing, drive for the value addition, and related commitments never translate to better pay for their produce years after the promises were made. In the meeting on the 8th of June at the Three Stars Hotel in Meru, over 100 growers, representatives from all coffee growing counties, proposed the following resolutions for your consideration. 1, farmers felt that the new KPCU, the Kenya Planters Cooperative Union, assets, management, and administrations should now be reverted to the coffee growers as was the original intention. So, Your Excellency, we want this KPCU to come back to the farmers, also have the farmers electing their own representatives so that they'll be able to run KPCU as it used to run before.
Thank you. Our resolution or proposal number 2 is that coffee growers aggregate coffee in KPCU warehouse, both parchment and clean, for corrective marketing and economies of scale. Your Excellency, today, we as farmers, we have come to reclaim our rightful possession, which was taken from us by those guys. Mheshimiwa Barire alisema hapa. Madam, congratulations. She was very open and very straight to the point. One thing we agreed, tulisema kahawa ni ya nani? Kahawa ni ya mkulima. Tunataka tusaidiwe na the government. Tusaidiwe na government, turudi kwa hii biashara yetu. Tuwe kama mama mboga. Tusionekane kama wakulima wa kahawa ni wajinga. Tunalima, watu wengine wana benefit. Mama mboga anapanda mboga 100, ana of the coffee value chain administered by the Coffee Board of Kenya. There are so many funds here and there. So we are requesting that they all be consolidated and they be managed from one source. And that is, we are proposing to have the Coffee Board as the regulator and the administrator of that fund. That fund, Your Excellency, if put in place, can be used to assist the farmers when they need money. And maybe the coffee prices are very low. They can go there, they can borrow a few shillings here and there, take their children back to school, and wait for the coffee prices to improve. That also is it can be referred to as a stabilization fund. So that is our request, and we hope that the government will consider that and add more resources so that the farmers can be assisted, and this corruption can at least come down or come to zero. Thank you. Number 7.
So, on the same, coffee farmers, we feel that as much as they're talking about the marketing, which is also the major problem up there, our production and productivity, it is what is largely affected. And from what has been presented during the day, where he talked about in the late 80s, about 130 metric tons of coffee being produced by the Kenyans. That time, we did not have a lot of scientists, people with PhD in coffee, but today, we have so many people, even with PhDs, with degrees in coffee, but my grandfather did not even know how to read or write. But they were able to produce the 130,000 metric tons of coffee. So what are we saying? Despite having all these, we do not need, as the Kenyan government, even to reestablish new trees, because from the research and statistics, on average, we are producing 1.5 kg per tree of coffee, on average, starting from anybody, the kilos that we are talking about. And here, we are talking about 40,000 metric tons, which keep fluctuating, despite the government having given us the subsidy. There is the commodity fund and the cherry advance. Why is it that we do not have this production? And what are we talking about if we are able to increase by 5 kilograms per tree? If last year we earned about 20 billion of shillings, Kenya shillings, how much are we going to have? And remember, coffee is paid in dollars. So if we are supported with the coffee fund, without these many bureaucracies being asked for the title deeds, we are saying that we want to bring the youth in coffee. We want to bring somebody in coffee. As I stand here today, my father-in-law holds the title of the land where we grow part of this coffee. Now, if I'm to go to the commodity fund, I'm expecting to give a title deed for me to get that money. We look at the 3 billion which was given by the Kenyan government. Now, what do we hear about? From the time it was given up to today, we are talking about 3 billion. Kwani mtoto azani? Mama na watoto. Where is this 3 billion? Whatever has been accounted for, we hear is about 300 to 500,000. So, can we come up with better structures where the farmers will be able to get this money? And that is why the marketers have been able to penetrate to come to the farmers, because the ones who are dealing with them, they go to them today, make an application. Within 4 days, farmers have money in their accounts to do what they want to do in their farms, and they are not asked for many things. Our coffee, our meeting statement, the coffee that we have in the farm, to act as the collateral. I'm sure now with that 3 billion, in the next 5 years, we can promise the coffee farmers will give this country not less than 100 billion from the coffee farmers, if we are supported. And we have not many bureaucracies for this coffee. And on that, the county government, since the coffee is devolved, the extension services are dead. We do not have the extension officers at the counties. Also, the ones who are there, they are retiring. There is no continuity, and the same is also applying to the CRI. So there is not, continuity is not there. Now, how are we going to help this so that the marketers and the others, I know they are chemical promoters or the companies who are selling the fertilizers, now they have become the agronomists. They are the ones who are giving any information to the farmers. They have taken the role of the Ministry of Agriculture to us, to the coffee farmers. So let's see what we can do about the extension services since agriculture is devolved.
Thank you. The other issue is about the reinstatement of a global market license to now include selling of coffee internationally, locally, and value addition. A grower should be able to offer their coffee through direct sale, local sale, and auction under the reconstituted NCE. Reconstituted NCE, not the way it is. The license should be issued by the coffee board in a technologically efficient manner. Your Excellency, we feel that coffee is overregulated. Do we really need, we as the growers, do we really need all the licenses to go to the market? We have the maize growers. How many licenses do they require? Is coffee an illegal crop? If it is not, then we don't require all those licenses. That is why we are proposing that the farmer, having a single license, should be able to market his coffee or her coffee both locally, internationally, and even in the value-added coffee. We are excellent that way. We will be able to get more money into the pockets of the farmers. Thank you.
Now, with the assumption that the KPC is going to be reverted back to the farmers, and we are going to be selling our coffee, farmers, we are requesting to be allowed to be the people to set the reserve price for our coffee. Because this is where a lot of confusion na wizi mingi huwa inaingililia. When we have things like reserve price, I don't know who sets the reserve price, because the farmer is not part of that team that is setting the reserve price for their coffee. So how is it arrived at? So we want the farmers to be part of that. Also, we need to know, and this should be honored by the buyers, because now we expect anybody in Kenya who is in the coffee business and they are licensed, or maybe that is their business they have registered, they are going to be buying coffee from the farmers at the KPCU where it is aggregated. And this should also be honored. And Coffee Board of Kenya, since that's what we are humbly requesting for Your Excellency, to be the regulator and will provide the guidelines on the development or now to set the reserve price to the farmers.
The next one is on establishment in law of a national confederation, as an institution to articulate coffee growers' interests in the country. The example, a grower is a seller, cooperative is either a seller, is either a cooperative, in the country, into brackets, a grower is either a cooperative society or an estate. Your Excellency, after we leave this forum, who will follow up on behalf of the coffee farmers? That's why we are talking about a national federation for coffee growers. As we sit here today, every Tom, Dick, and Harry in this country wakes up in the morning, goes to the various offices in Nairobi. We are seated back there in Nyeri, in Kipkerion, and Uko Barigo. We don't know what is happening in Nairobi. They register their own lobbies for their own interests. For example, as we are talking here, as we are seated here today, we have the Kenya Cooperative, we have the Kenya Coffee KCPA. We have the KCPA as a lobby group for coffee farmers. We have the NACHU representing the 16 unions. And in this country, we have about that 3 county coffee growing, three coffee growing counties in this country. There are only 16. We have another one for the estates, the 3 of them. Tunataka kusema, tungetaka kuanza leo. Like waziri wa kilimo alisema, all the licenses shall be registered. We also request that anybody claiming to be a farmer representative in terms of those lobby groups should be registered, and the farmers, they'll all be put in place. And the farmers, right from the grassroots to the national, let's have a body that is farmer representative. That is a humble request, and we hope that the relevant bodies, like the Parliament, Senate, will assist in drafting of the laws in regard to this issue of the National Coffee Federation. Thank you.
Your Excellency, also, as we bring up the issue of the federations, we also ask the Parliament and the Senate to consolidate and harmonize all these laws and the regulations governing the coffee industry to reduce uncertainty, multiple and conflicting regulations to stabilize the coffee industry for the benefit of the growers. As we said, and we'll keep repeating, these regulations are too many, and the farmers, we really do not know the law ourselves. Also, and these licenses are also being charged, and that's why we are requesting these regulations. When someone is registered as a grower, that is an estate or a cooperative society, let that certificate that you get, the initial one, isimamie mkulima kuanzia production to the market, and if possible, to the cap for the value addition. Because here we are talking about the value chain in coffee. But going back to the 2019 regulations, I'm supposed only to be a coffee farmer. My children, my great-grandchildren cannot do any other activity along the coffee value chain. And we want to bring the youth into coffee. Now, if my sons cannot do value addition in the coffee, then why is it that I'll die being a grower throughout my life? So let us look at that and that 2019 regulation.
We are just about to come to the end. So the next one is to encourage youth and women participation. Constitutional gender rule to apply and a slot for youth be set up. Your Excellency, the growers commit to involve younger generation in coffee production. That's what my governor here talked about when he said that we as the older people should at least try and give pieces, a few trees to our young people. So because of time, I want to attack Marisa haraka haraka.
Yeah, so let's finish. So, also, we need the digitization of the coffee value chain end-to-end to ensure traceability and security by safeguarding against theft and cherry-oaking, including geomapping and tree sensors. The government, through the Coffee Board, established a digitization system, and the Coffee Board mandated to monitor and enforce these safeguarded standards. The reason being, even the statistics that we have here, the Coffee Directorate normally calls you and asks you how many trees do you have. So as much as we are talking of the 700 to 800,000 small holders, we are not sure how many are we, even for the government, for the accountability, and also as they support us with the subsidy. Then, Your Excellency, sir, on the transition, if Your Excellency find it appropriate, you may consider including a few growers representing the cooperative societies and estates together with your office and other stakeholders and any other relevant office to firm up the roadmap of achieving these and further resolutions to come for the revitalizations of the coffee sector. This was mandated to us, 13 of us, after we ended the first meeting yesterday from 5 p.m., and it's when we were able to consolidate that. That is the position of the farmers and what they resolved yesterday. Thank you very much.
Last but not least, Your Excellency, farmers are losing too much or a lot of money when it comes to packaging materials. We have the export bags. One export bag, which holds 60 kilograms of clean coffee, goes for $3.5 today. Imagine how much the coffee farmer is losing. So we are humbly requesting the government to zero rate hii mambo ya magunia, so that at least those about $3 or $2, when it goes to the farmer, that is about, we are losing about over 400 shillings per one bag, and we believe that the farmer will actually benefit. Having said that, Your Excellency, sir, what I've just presented for your consideration was drafted by the following select members as listed below on behalf of other coffee farmers. We thank you for taking time in your busy schedule to listen to the farmers and their proposals. We believe this is a government that will change the coffee sector for the benefit of farmers. God bless you, Your Excellency. God bless Kenya. Thank you all.
Your Excellency, that is what was agreed yesterday. But it's good I state that the farmers had come up with only one proposal. First of all, to aggregate their coffee. The way Madam Barire was saying, we aggregate our coffee, we bring coffee from a certain factory there, another one here, another one here. If we want to buy, whether you are in Kenya or you are outside Kenya, let's compete when coffee is aggregated. The second reason as to why that one will work very, very well, the stealing of cherry and the issue of cherry hawking will end. Because once we have rules which will govern those, and one of the main problems in coffee is cherry hawking at the moment. If that one will end, and then we make it to sell our coffee, when aggregated, the way they do it elsewhere, we are going to sell at more than 200 in the next 1 year. And the farmers were asking themselves, If we produce 3,000 metric tons in the next 10 years, and is paid at the lowest, the way they are paying in Ethiopia, at 150, if you calculate that very well, the money which is going to get into the farmer's pocket is 270 billion. That is possible. And I would like here to talk about some things anyway. One of them is chemicals, the chemicals we are applying. And that is why we talked about CRI. Some countries like Japan are almost refusing to take our coffee. In fact, they wrote a letter last year that they will not be taking our coffee if such chemical residues are going to be found in our coffee. So we must streamline this sector. I think we are done. And if you have any question as to why that aggregation of coffee cannot work, ask the farmers now.
Let those two farmers get back there. The three of you, you sit there, mpatu your microphone.
Good, good.
Then we interrogate
the two
you.
Farmers.
Warudi hapo.
Kujeni.
Patia microphone hapo. Tuko na maswali mingi.
Sawa, sawa. Wakulima wale wawili, kuna mkulima mmoja anaitwa Festus Bet. Ako karibu?
Mnaweza hata waongeza wajae hiyo viti.
Okay.
Iko viti 8.
Yes. Kuna mkulima mmoja ningetaka akuje, ni chairman wa the largest cooperative society in Kenya, inaitwa Faragwe from Kirinyaga. Last year they produced 15 million kgs of coffee, once cooperative, more than many counties combined. So the chairman, Faragwe, is here. We can also have the chairman of Kapungetune, Chairman Kapungetune. You are here, Chairman Kapungetune. Come. And finally, let's have Chairman Daruine Coffee Farmers. The reason being, it's the only coffee factory in Kenya which has been paying more than 100 bob for the last 9 years. So they deserve that. And okay, before we start, I would like to state this. The highest we have seen so far, especially in Mount Kenya this year, was 102 shillings per kg. And I don't know whether there is any other factory which has exceeded that. Chairman, no. Meru, yes. Meru, we can have one of the best farmers we have, Kathedo or Mukarimu, or both.
And somebody also from Embu?
Yes. Kathedo and Mukarimu Kujeni. Yes. Kathedo and Mukarimu, these are good farmers. They are producing 200,000 and above each. This one from Meru. Good. The farmers are here.
Participants, these are the most important people for this conference. All the things we are discussing is about these people. So I think we give them a bit of time. Let us interrogate the proposals that they have given us. Let us ask them questions, and let us be satisfied that they know what they are saying and why we need to support them, so that as we look at all the proposals, we'll be able to consider with a lot of understanding what they are presented. Who will moderate this session? Let's get somebody to moderate this session. Aya, Governor Nyeri.
Thank you very much. I hope we have mobile microphones. If they are not enough, we can take a few here and take them across there. Do we have any there? Let's start with the Wamuchomba there. Mheshimiwa. How do we answer those questions? The first question goes to you. The second one goes to you. The third one goes to you. We start with 3 of them and then we see. Kindly. Pardon? No. Okay, but then
let them answer the question as it comes.
Yes.
Whoever feels comfortable with that question.
All right.
Ajibu.
Okay.
Asante.
My question is on coffee aggregation, creation of Coffee Federation. Where you have said that
A better microphone.
you would want to have Mr. Musha, you said you would recommend that we aggregate coffee and buyers can buy coffee from the aggregated loot, which is a very good idea. But I was asking, would you be comfortable if buyers can buy coffee directly at the primary production unit? If buyers can buy coffee directly from the factory level, so that the factories that are producing good coffee grades can benefit from their efforts. Because aggregation, sometimes you mix coffee that is from a good grade and bad grade. My other question is, just like the milk farmers do, in Githunguri dairy farmers are paid and their work ends at the delivery of their milk. Wakishapeleka maziwa yao kwa collection center, kilo zake zikichukuliwa, kazi yake huishia hapo. Vile ambaye amechukua maziwa ataenda kufanya na hiyo maziwa, hiyo sio biashara ya mkulima. Mkulima anaachia kazi yake hapo, anarudi shambani. Lakini kwa kahawa, wakulima wamefanywa wao ndio industrialist, wao ndio wanakausha kahawa, ndio wana pulp kahawa, ndio wana transport kahawa, ndio wana provide security, and you know some farmers have no capacity. Would you be comfortable as farmers if we recommended that mkulima wa kahawa awe analipwa na kazi yake iishie akipeleka kahawa yake kwa pulping station? Aache kugojea 9 months kahawa yake iuzwe ndio alipwe. Awe analipwa every month kama mkulima wa maziwa. Asante.
Asante sana mheshimiwa. You have taken
Let me first of all answer Madam Wambushoba. And let me say that Madam Wambushoba was the one who employed me in Inoro FM when I was a teacher. So I am always grateful to her. Madam, what you have said is what we are saying. When coffee is aggregated, it is not going to be aggregated or put for 2 factories together, no. For example, in Githunguri there is a good factory coming up known as Gathiroine. Kahawa ya Gathiroine itawekwa hapa. After it, na kahawa si uga. So we are going to have some liquorers, Q graders, the highest we have. Akichukua hiyo kahawa, after tasting that coffee and giving it profile. If you want to buy it and you are in China, unanunua ya Gathiroine. We are not going to mix Gathiroine and Gatunganga in Nyeri. No. So it's the same thing, it is direct. Your second question, the FAD. I think we can have the FAD and the government can give us that FAD and it's not going to go at a loss. Because once we sell, we refund. So we can have this FAD inaitwaje hii ilikuja juzi. Not cherry advance. Hii ya vijana hii ilikuja na hasla FAD ya kahawa. Inawekwa hapa na inajulikana mtalipa. Because kahawa ikiuzwa mnalipa. Kama Ethiopia what they do, wanaileta hapa, mkiuza unapatiwa 150. Then hiyo kahawa ikiuzwa sababu itauzwa more than 150, unarudishiwa hiyo ingine itabaki. Is there any problem with that?
Next. I can't see who is there. Okay, give him a microphone.
She had asked another question.
I think there were 2 only.
There is the issue of the federation.
Yes. Oh, okay, you have answered. Okay. Right, just a minute.
Thank you. Mheshimiwa ameuliza mambo ya formation of a federation. We are coffee growers are scattered all over the 3 coffee growing countries. We need somebody to make a follow-up of whatever is happening in the various offices in terms of market or any other activity. For that reason, that is why we are saying we need a federation elected by the people, the growers, to represent them. We are not the first ones, and other countries have it. Other, like for example, we have the teachers. They have the Kenya National Union of Teachers. We have the doctors. They have their own federation. We think there is nothing wrong with the coffee growers having their own federation. That's the reason.
To help you, Colombia has one coffee federation that sells all their coffee. We had, there was, the tall man there. Kindly introduce yourself and ask the question.
Thank you very much. My name is John Mutunga, the Member of Parliament for Tigani and Chair of Agriculture and Livestock Committee. Two issues to the farmers. First of all, the federation issue. How would you best sustain the federation? Because the greatest problem we have in this country is sustaining farmers' organizations. What is your idea of sustaining a vibrant, growing, and well-informed federation over time? That's the first question. The second one is the issue of aggregation. When you talk about aggregation, I think we need to unpack it. At the primary cooperative, the pulping center, that's the first degree aggregation center. Because individual smallholder farmers bring their cherry, and you sort it out, and then it is graded, and you record as per the grading. That's the first aggregation center. Then there's the pulping, the fermenting, the drying, and then there is the processing, the first level processing, which is producing, changing coffee from parchment coffee to green coffee. After you get the green coffee, you do the first level grading. Are you going to aggregate before you grade, or shall we first of all grade, and then you'll be knowing exactly what you have aggregated?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. About the federation, we earlier talked about CRI, and the growers are ready to fund the CRI. The reason being, they know the benefits, or we have known the benefits of CRI. We have also known the benefits of having a group or a federation to act on our behalf. So if laws and regulations are put in place, we are ready to do that. About aggregation, there's a difference between mixing and aggregation we are talking about. In this, we are talking about the biggest challenge with us is when it comes to marketing. About the cherry, aggregating cherry in the factories, in the different estates, that is not a big problem. But when it comes to marketing, that is where we are talking about aggregation. So that when coffee is ready for marketing, we have proposed that it can either be delivered to that center in form of parchment or green coffee. As Muchwe has said, coffee, my coffee will never, and it is never mixed with the other farmer's coffee. The only thing, and that is what was happening even before when we had coffee board, when farmers used to enjoy the coffee business, it's just like having a very big basket. I come with my coffee, the grade I have produced, it is kept here. Let the buyer come for that coffee. He'll just pick my coffee because that is what he wants.
Thank you.
Governor Kahiga's coffee is left here. His buyer will come at his own time. Then you just pick the coffee and do the marketing. What we have said, we have realized, is that the counties, the unions, and the cooperatives have heavily invested. And that is why in the value addition, they have their own mills. We cannot close those investments. And that's why we are proposing those who have their own machines, milling machines, can mill and deliver the green coffee. Those who don't have, we have proposed you have the KPCU just at the doorstep. They can deliver their parchment there. Even if the buyer comes in when it is in parchment form, he'll buy and then it will be milled there. He'll take his coffee and take it wherever.
Thank you. We are moving on this way. We start where now? Let's start at the back. Then we will come to Mheshimiwa Mukoroine. Then CS. Then I'll come this. Sang is also there, and he is my whip. He might whip me.
Thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Jogona from the US. I have a question about the Coffee Federation and also one that kind of relates to what we're talking about leadership and governance. Who is going to regulate and oversight this federation? Because even as we talk about Colombia and Brazil that have federations, sometimes those federations have been known, depending on the leadership, to go their own direction, and they become extremely powerful. So who is regulating this federation, or who is oversighting this federation?
Thank you. I think even as they are talking, they are saying the farmers. Is that what you are saying? You can answer.
Thank you, Your Excellency. As you can see, I'm the youngest here. So first of all, the youth are represented. Your Excellency, my name is Festus. Was born and brought up in Kericho County. I depend 100% on coffee. Nimelelewa na kahawa tangu totoni. Nimesomea kahawa hadi mpaka mahali ambapo nimefika. Your Excellency, nitajibu swali la federation. Very simple. Federation is an apex body. Na aggregation ya kahawa imeanza from the cooperatives. I was born from an area which is the origin of cooperatives. So cooperatives inaanzia hapo. From there they can aggregate their produce. After that we go to secondary aggregation, whereby we go now to the secondary stage where coffee is processed. I'm part of the people who was spearheading the formation of NACU after the failure of KCPA. NACU is National Coffee Cooperative Union. It is 100% regulated by the Ministry of Cooperatives. So the issue of oversight is done by Ministry of Cooperatives. This NACU is a formation of several cooperative unions from over 18 counties. Why we did that? We did because there was no any organized manner that could help us to get the best market. It came as a challenge, and it happened that we managed to sell directly to the Republic of South Korea. And we realized that the biggest challenge for the farmers is that most of the buyers want more coffee, sustainable production. And we could not do that because we had several inquiries. So for us, we thought by having all these unions which have been formed, and it is one union per county. So the county can also be part of those unions by having their representation there to guide the process. So the issue of federation is going to assist severally in terms of coordination. I want to believe and to be very frank, we came here as a coordinated group. If we had no coordination, we never received the invitation. I don't know if it is by design, but I believe we were all supposed to come. So this means if we had nobody to guide, right here we have more than 10 unions from 10 counties who have come courtesy of NACU. The rest we could not do. I tend to believe that federation is going to assist in several ways, not only on advocacy, but in terms of consolidating and looking at the price.
Right. He asked who is going to, now.
To oversight is the Ministry of
Cooperatives. And I think the basic question is this. Federations, whatever, are as good as the leadership. So there is one thing that you should also be saying, and all of us should be saying, that until we can kill and slay the dragon of corruption, whether we have federations or we have confederations, we will still go back where we were supposed to be. True or not true? Because that is what he was mentioning, the man from America. He said, even when we talk about the Colombian model, where they sit even in the New York Coffee Exchange, if they have bad leadership, the entire thing goes badly. So for us here, and even for us, whichever way model we'll come up with to create a federation, we must also talk about integrity. True?
Sure.
Now we have Mheshimiwa wa kutoka Mukuroine, and then CS Moses.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so the farmers, we appreciate your remarks, your comments, and your contribution. And indeed, we've been very keen on what you're saying. I would like, however, to ask you a question. You have clearly indicated that you would want us to have the Coffee Board of Kenya reinstated and fully taking care of the coffee business from the beginning to the end. And I've seen you, like, you're also looking at also even the issue of funding to still be anchored under the same board, issues of legislation and such. Don't you think by so doing, we are going to create another AFA? So far, we know that AFA has given us a bit of trouble because it's the same people who control the whole value chain. Don't you think we still need to retain the separation of duties amongst our different bodies? Again, the other issue that you may want to also comment on has to do with what the Governor Kahiga has said, the issue of governance at the factory level. Because as much as now we are sorting out the issues at the higher level and the governance level at the higher level, how about the issue of governance at the factory level, where in fact many farmers still feel that they have a challenge? Why, for example, don't we have every factory planting its own coffee trees and coffee bushes and using it as a demonstration to the farmers and using the products that you are getting from there to lower the costs of the factory so that they don't still have to come to the farmers for the overheads? And I still want to appreciate that we also have one gentleman from Nyeri who has been running the coffee shops in Nyeri, the Kilele coffee shops. I think he's also here. And maybe you should also be telling us more about how he's been able to run the coffee shops. The Starbucks of America is doing it in Nyeri. I'm sure, Governor Kahiga, you must have enjoyed a cup of coffee from Kilele Coffee. True. And that also maybe as farmers is something that we can look at. We are farming our coffee, we are producing it, we add value, and we also sell it in all our shopping centers and all our hotels and restaurants. Thank you.
Who is speaking that? Yeah, just.
Thank you. We are for the reinstatement of Coffee Board of Kenya, believing that we have another body who is going to regulate the trading, that is the CMA. So we already have, I think, 2 bodies who are going to work separately. The problem started when AFA was formed. So Coffee Board lost its mandate, and I think and will believe that most of the crops could not have a clear guideline on how they are supposed to operate. So we believe that having Coffee Board, but having the representation of the farmers, that one will be key. Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody wants to
governing issues. He asked about
the
governing issues. Mheshimiwa, governance issues are very pertinent. It's quite important when we are discussing about coffee matters. But I believe in this country we have enough laws. What we are lacking is the goodwill to implement. We have the Coffee Act. It has said very clearly what should be done to such and such a person when he does the negative or the otherwise. So to me, regulations are there. Implementation is the one that is lacking. So we are ready to face the consequences as cooperative leaders or any other leader. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think what Mheshimiwa has just alluded is about the integrity, where we are the leadership, we are the leaders in the cooperative societies. Some of us have 2 trees, but we are paid for 2,000 kilos. That is what he's talking about, integrity. Waziri Moses, I'm coming, nakuja hivi, nakuja. Oh, you don't have, I see. What? We are coming back. Let's first finish round 1, alafu turudi.
Thank you, Governor. I think this issue of governance and the structure that the farmers are suggesting, as you come out and realize, tunaenda tunarudi hapo. So there's some clarity that is not there, which you need to help us. For example, now, first of all, personally, I fully support federation route. Because today, if I have a problem with tea, I'll call Mr. Ishoho or Mr. Mudaura from KTDA. And I know I can use that, their structure, to know even that farmer down there in a place called Makomboki is thinking about. So today, without this federation, even if somebody wants to help you from a national level, we feel we are lost. So I support federation issue, but the question that's coming up, will federation lead to better management? Ama ni kazi tu tunapea watu wachache? I was just whispering to the member for Mukoroini, kuna jamaa fulani hapo anaitwa Wanguko. Sio kama mnamjua. Anaitwa Noah Agoko. Now, that guy is more successful than the cooperative of that area. So even if you have your federation there, that guy with that coffee called Bradgate will be performing better than that federation. Then the question is the federation helping? Two, why do you think having coffee board is a solution? What about if coffee board becomes another AFA? Why can't you work with us to reform the AFA? It's like the AFA is beyond salvage. We are a government and we are here to listen. We have come here a whole 3 days. So we listen to you. So remove from your mind this notion that the reason you want to have central bank is because you don't have AFA. Now, Deputy President is here. Minister for Agriculture is here. Now, how high else did you want in terms of how we can resolve this issue? And I think even the AFA leadership is here, the chairman and the CEO. So please remove from your mind. I know for those of us from the 70s and 80s, it is nostalgic to talk about CBK. But let us look beyond nostalgia. What is it? And on that issue also, now the KPCU, you've talked about KPCU. So you have got federation on one side, KPCU on another, and now you are coffee board or AFA, whatever it is. How are they going to relate? Who is going to operate KPCU? Can we devolve KPCU to the counties, for example? Or how do you see this happening? I have also heard you talk about packaging, and it is interesting. Maybe I will need to check with you guys, because in the finance bill, we have removed the VAT for packaging of tea. Maybe it's a small oversight to leave coffee out, but the majority leader is here. He can just send one WhatsApp message, na muko sorted katika hiyo maneno. So maybe we need to look at that. Maybe it was a small oversight ya watu ya majani chai, because walifika kwa mkubwa. Sasa na nyinyi mmefika hapa, tuko hapa viongozi. Maybe something we can sort out here and now, so that even when we are fighting for finance bill, si mjue kwa nini mnaipigania. Mjue mko hapo ndani, mambo yenu iko hapo ndani. So Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, pengine hapa hii ndio support ya finance bill iko hapa. Wakulima wa kahawa ukiwawekea hiyo packaging, utoe, tutakuwa sawa. Then finally on DSS, direct settlement. Me, I think, in the spirit of what Governor Cecily Balida started in the morning, for those who don't know, direct settlement system is whereby all marketers give money to one bank or to several banks. And then those banks, kila mtu ende na yake, kama ile ya Kaisari. If you imagine, we have got 40 million metric tons. How many marketers do you have? 20. So kila mtu akona kama 40,000 metric tons. So kila mtu hapa akona 2,000 metric tons. Kwani wanakula nini? Si pesa yenu wanakula. So to remove that thing, me, I would want to ask my brother, C.S. Rinturi, since this DSS was advertised, it was passed, it was advertised, it just needs to be operationalized. Si utoe sauti kidogo useme from Monday, marketers wote aweke pesa kwa DSS, you go and select the bank, mkila mkulima pate yake. Mkila mkulima akipata yake, pengine hata hiyo tunasema hustler fund, ni nani ataendea pesa kama yake imeingia. But I think this DSS thing is a very important tool. And it's a very immediate tool we can be able to use. At least mkulima aanze kuchagamka kidogo. We don't need to pass legislation because it's already passed. We don't need to do anything. Tender was done by the Ministry of Agriculture. CS Linturi just need to go back to the office, dust the files, appoint a bank. Then the bank from next week, mtu akikosa pesa, asiulize marketer, anauliza a bank. I don't know if you would support that. Thank you.
Thank you. Let them answer.
Okay. I will try to respond to some of them. And I want, first of all, to correct you, Bwana CS. This morning you said we can roast our coffee and sell, value add. There is no country in the world that has succeeded in that. Ethiopia tried. They have one core, that is, they have one core, a company trying to roast in order to export. They failed. They have never exported. So if we have to value add, that is unknown. By the way, if you roast our coffee and value add, is that customer looking for medium roast, dark roast, or what? So the easiest way, coffee beans are always sold in green beans. And I would like anybody doubting that to tell me any part that has succeeded. But it is very easy for us to roast that coffee and sell it here. But once again, why sell it here? Like what CS Cherugui said, Ethiopia produced 760,000 metric tons of coffee last year, and they sold 320,000 metric tons. So more than 50% was consumed in Ethiopia. But how many coffee factories does Ethiopia have? Only 3 coffee factories. Muranga County has 10. So they don't have, certainly they don't have coffee. So the issue of drinking our coffee, even in Ethiopia, they want to export more coffee to get more dollars instead of selling locally. So that one must be understood. Let's come to DSS. Is that our problem, really, farmers? Is DSS our problem? I would like those farmers who are here, who will tell me that DSS is the problem and is the one to give you money to start up. Is that our problem, farmers? No. No. DSS is not our problem. Let me take an example. According to the rules you have, or the government has, I'm supposed to be paid 80%, at least 80% of the total proceeds, the total sale. I was paid 60. 60 divided by 80 times 100 is 75. So, the only amount that maybe went somewhere, maybe is less than 3 shillings. So, let's not look at the problem where it is not. The problem is in the marketing. And once we now aggregate, that one is done. Let me touch the issue on the issue of Coffee Board and KPCU. I will not touch anything to do with the federation. We need a strong body to represent the farmers. Right now, there is NASU, there is another one. In fact, others will form widowers with coffee, widows with coffee. Others will even come up with youth with coffee. Those. We need one strong body to speak on behalf of the farmers. In a country like Ethiopia, they have Ethiopia Tea and Coffee Authority. So we need one body to speak on behalf of the farmers. Maybe the government can have maybe 5, and then farmers can have 10, and they must be representing coffee. For example, my governor Murago is here, and one of the counties leading in coffee production is Kirinyaga. So if Kirinyaga is doing 16%, and Kiabu is doing 20%, Nyeri is doing around 13%, so 13% of the representatives must come from those areas, because we are representing coffee. So once we have that body, that is the one now to man anything, from top to bottom. KPCU will just be there as an agency. KPCU will just be there as an agency, but not really as a marketer. I don't know, those who are here to make the rules will tell us more. But the agency is, they bring your coffee here as a factory from Gatodo. Let's say Gatodo, because that is where Moses Kuria comes from. Once the buyer registers interest in your coffee, the agency will tell you there is this buyer from China who wants to buy your coffee. Do you want to sell? Yes. How much? There is that set price. So if you sell that coffee, everybody in your cooperative will know we have sold at this much. So any other kind of calculation done within there, it is very open. We have sold at $10 per kg. So if you pay me at 130 or 120 or anything, where has the other money gone? So where does the DSS come from? I think the others can continue.
And maybe don't repeat the question. If it has been answered, answer a different one.
Okay, I'll answer a different one.
Yeah.
For the CS Courier, it's talked about the DSS. But during our presentations, we said we need to have the 2 windows or the 3. If somebody wants to sell the coffee through the CMA, they be paying through the DSS, that is well and good. Allow the farmers to have the options or the alternatives. Let us maintain the direct sale and then see. Sorry? No, I'm not in the market of the marketer, and I'm a farmer. Why? You cannot judge me, I'm a farmer, you cannot doubt me as a farmer, whereby we need to maintain the NCE. Look at the gradings of the coffee. We cannot afford to sell all the coffee through the direct sale, and we've sold coffee. I'm not a cartel. You can use the words. I'm a farmer, and I've never been a cartel. I work with what I have. And that is my feeling. Why is it that we have to go the way you want us to go? You asked us for the opinion, and that's the opinion that I'm giving. Number 2, on the same bill of parliament, you've talked about 10% going to the societies and the factories for running of the management. Here, we are talking about a farmer who is producing 14 million kilos of coffee, whereby there is another society that is producing less than 100,000. So when we give them the 10% as the law, we cap, that is what we give for the management. And we giving and opening the window for the misappropriations. Why can't it be individualized for the societies to come up with how much they are going to use from the co-farmers' proceeds? Because 10% of the factories with 14 million, what is that money to run the facility? So it's the same way. You know, that's a feeling, and also we have that feeling of us. Then on the aggregating of the coffee, it's just the same way that we take the coffee to be somewhere. Then we wait for to look for the market. Because when you tell me that I have a direct contact with the buyer, where is the roadmap? How many of us are able to do and get these marketers or the buyers of this coffee to come directly to buy the coffee at the farms? And that's when we thought as farmers and felt that if we put this coffee together to aggregate is not to bulk the coffee. Then, when the coffee is at the same place, anybody can come and buy the coffee there. So that makes me a cartel. Well,
thank you. No, I want to defend you. I want to defend you. It was so clear. I listened to Cecily Balide. At no point does the farmer become those other things. But the marketer can become whatever, but for the farmer, wacha tukalie pale. Let's allow the Sabina, and then we sang as we move. Tunakuja. So,
thank you very much, the moderator. And allow me first to congratulate these farmers who are here. While majority of the farmers gave up on coffee, they went to real estate. You stood the test of the day, and you are still doing coffee farming. Maybe Your Excellency would have had more time to actually hear from each and every farmer, because I can see only a few are taking the microphone. And we have several of them I hear from, I don't know, Kirinyaga, where they are doing very well in the sales, and they can share with us. because not all of us are farmers, to hear your success stories and what has enabled you to reach where you are, and how we, maybe as the lawmakers, can be able to help you achieve more. Your Excellency, I believe a lot of things that we are talking here today and the issue of implementation, the confusion is created by the same people who we are calling cartels. So that there are so many laws around, and so we are not able to figure out. Because every other time I had Madam, when she was doing the presentation, saying, you have several husbands. Where you have said we belong to the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Cooperative, and another ministry, I think, industrialization. So my question is, which husband do you prefer more among the many that you have? Where would you want to call home? Because you are the farmers. That is my question. And question number 2, you've talked about the bags. And we're doing the calculations here with my colleagues. We saw like a bag is costing around 500 shillings. So my question is it a special bag? Is it something that can be done in Kenya? Because I can hear Honorable Moses Kuria is keeping on telling the colleagues, take this up. And I want now to take it up to him. Moses Kuria, take it up. Can't we make these bags in Kenya? As we are talking about creating jobs and even allocating money in the budget, then how can we be able to make those bags? Or are they digital bags, or how are they? We can be able to do it here locally, maybe cut the cost and also create jobs for our local people. And so, Moses Kuri, I hope you can be able to take that. And the final one, Your Excellency, I know you are fighting against alcohol in Kenya. And I want to suggest that now, if we come up with coffee shops in our regions, together with the governors, and we have a partnership, might be down to our villages, instead of opening bars, we start opening coffee shops. And then we partner with the Ministry of IT, where maybe when they're going to have these coffee shops, we have a lot of our young people, they can be able to access to free Wi-Fi, they can be able to learn a few more things. We may be able to promote, 1, consumption of coffee locally. Number 2, we may be able to achieve also minimization of the many bars that we are having in our region and the current alcoholism problem that we have in Kenya. So I believe that local production and local consumption will be able to help us. Finally, it's about how you are able to sell your coffee. I was brought up in a T-zone, and Your Excellency, might be when you spoke about us next 2 weeks going to Kericho, I was thinking those guys are very big growers, and they are large scales, and I have been biased myself with Wamau and the rest from Murang'a. We have the largest and the majority of tea factories in the country. Maybe we would have gone to Murang'a, but we don't mind going to Kericho. But my question was, the issue of guaranteed minimum returns. I have not heard you as farmers talk much about the coffee theft, what has been happening, and the security. What would be the solution if, for instance, we are saying we are expecting the coffee might be per kg, the total return would be 200 shillings. So we say then by the time you are taking your coffee to the factory, the government to come up with a fund where, or the fund that comes in, a farmer is paid 100 shillings upon delivery. So that by the time we do the rest of the things, the farmer already have a guaranteed minimum return that can be able to help them improve their coffee and improve everything else. When you talk about the direct and all these other agencies that we are talking, there's a lot of confusion. But once as a farmer, I know I'll get my 100 shillings, and I wait maybe for a month or 2 months to get the other 100, and I know my coffee is secure, then I'll add more on production. So I want to urge you, because I had here names, cartels, and everything else, have the best interest of the farmers, and I congratulate you because you are the farmers. You have been there. Advise us more on how we can be able to help your work become better. And I hope that we are going to have a breakthrough for once about the coffee sector. May God bless you.
Thank you very much. Someone to answer?
Thank you, Your Excellency. I think for the export bags, we have the ability. Most of the bags that we use is the jute bags. And I understand that some parts of our country do grow sisal, and that one is going to, if we have locally produced packaging material, it is going to assist us in terms of getting actually on saving on cost. Apart from that, the same issue of bags, at times we have same problem. Shortage of bags throughout the country, that you cannot even package your coffee. And that one is a big problem. But we believe that we are going to get that.
Okay. Thank you, Governor Sang, and then we come here. Let's finish. They have not told their husband. Yeah, they will tell us about that. That will be the last question as they consult, because someone may stand and we will need them to consult and tell us who is the best husband.
And maybe before we answer that one,
yes,
I want to request indulgence that we be tolerant to divergent views and opinions.
Yes.
You don't have to agree with what the farmers are saying. Just keep quiet and listen, because all of us are being given a chance to say what you think can help. I don't think it is dignifying to call these farmers cartels, because they're just giving an opinion. And we are tolerant people. Our government is one of continuous engagement. This public participation is a healthy thing. I think let's all be very tolerant and have the dignity to listen. And even where you don't agree, you will be given an opportunity to say so in a language that has decorum, so that we are all good people.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for the guidance. Governor Sang.
Thank you very much. A few issues. You in your presentation, farmers, and congratulate all of you for that elaborate presentation on your part. You are asking for KPCU assets to go back to farmers. There is another danger. Have you considered the liabilities of KPCU? Because you can't just choose what to take. If the organization has its fair share of liabilities that could actually consume even the value of the assets, I think that is something that you want to think through. Secondly, and maybe this is more also to ourselves particularly the legislators, there is a huge outcry by farmers and sectors that they want to go back to. And if you had every presentation this morning, it was like we want to take coffee to where it used to be. The same thing will happen with the tea. We want to go to where we were. The same thing has been happening with sugarcane. We want to go to where we were. But what got us to where we are right now is that we broke some of the institutions that farmers are asking right now in the three sectors were institutions that we actually collapsed ourselves and created something called AFA, or is it AFA? So it seems that we may not have thought it wise or thought it well for us to break these, all these institutions into one organization. And I see the point by farmers that assuming the cartels are very strong in the agriculture sector, they could sit the entire AFA and all the farmers in sugarcane, in tea would suffer. So I think I personally want to say that this aspect of Coffee Board of Kenya being reinstated is a good thing. It's something we are pushing in tea. It is something we are pushing in sugarcane. And therefore, that is a fair point by the farmers. We only want to, I would have wanted to hear very strongly, when Says spoke, you would forgive her for thinking that she is, a farmer and not a governor. When you came in as farmers, you didn't speak very strongly about these cartels. Sometimes, and sometimes we are getting a lot of feedback also, saying that a little bit of that comment seems to be a comment that would sit well with some of those cartels. We are not saying that you are, but some of the comments we are getting from the farmers representative, and I got worried a little bit when I had selected farmers, select. So the question is, who did the selection? Because we could be receiving a point that does not reflect the entire view of farmers, but actually a team of farmers that is fairly elite. So can you make us comfortable that what you are telling us is exactly the view of the farmers? I do a lot of, Nandi County is growing in terms of coffee. In fact, it's very speaking up right now. I haven't seen any of my farmers here. My question is, the selection process of the farmers to come here, how did my farmers fail to be part of this engagement? And therefore, I am at constraint to believe that what you are telling us is exactly what would represent my farmers in Nandi and many other areas. So when we raise some of these things, allow us, listen to us, because I think also we are getting feedback.
Share the mics. Share the mics.
We are getting feedback from our representatives, and it would also make more sense if you can also spread so that we do not have 3, 4. Can we also hear the others? I see wonderful people here, Can the microphone also get to them so that we are comfortable that we are speaking from the same page?
Maybe we could also say that it is okay to answer in whichever language you want to answer.
Yes, wasn't it?
Because when you farm, you don't farm in English. Kindly.
All protocol observed, good afternoon. God is good all the time. Our president and our deputy president wametufunza mambo ya kanisa. Si ni kweli? Kanisa tukiwa kila pahali tukiwa tunafanya mambo ya church. Leo nataka kuongea kwa niaba ya vijana. Na nimetoka Tharaka Nithi, Muthomi Njuki ndiye gavana wangu, baba yao ndiye MP wangu. Nimetoka Tharaka Nithi na nikakuja hapa. Our deputy president, mimi nikisoma nikiwa mtoto, tulikuwa tunaambiwa backbone ya economy yetu ni kahawa na chai. Si ni ukweli? Si ni ukweli? Agriculture, si ni mnijibu ni hata mimi nisikie nasema kitu. Tukiwa watoto tulikuwa tunaambiwa agriculture ndio backbone ya our economy. Si ni ukweli? But sasa wakati mambo imegeuka na our deputy president, nimefurahia sana wakati Sisi Mbalili, the governor of Embu, amesimama hapa akasema ukweli mtupu. Kwa sababu ungesimamisha cartels hapa na sisi farmers ungeona tofauti. Si ni ukweli? Wale vitambi ziko huku, ngata ziko huku, sisi hatuna kakitu. Kwa hivyo mimi nataka kusema hivi. Kwanza mimi Tharaka Nithi pale kama kijana, wakati nilielewa vijana, nataka kuongea mambo ya hii board, tunasikia board. Wakati pale Tharaka Nithi, wakati nilimaliza college, nikarealize hakuna kazi. Hata nilikuwa naongea na MLA hapa namwambia mambo ni mbaya. Mimi nilianza kukusanya farmers na watafutia mizinga kwa sababu hii mambo ya pollinations. So currently sasa nimetafutia more than 20 farmers mizinga ili wakati kahawa inatoa flowering ifanye nini? Mambo ya pollination. Are we together? Kwa sababu tunaongea mambo ya kahawa na tujui. Mimi nikiwa mtoto ulikuwa naamka asubuhi unachuna kahawa before uende shule. Lakini saa hii ili kahawa ikuwe na market kwa hii nchi yetu ya Kenya, tukiwa watoto, nikiwa mtoto mdogo nilikuwa nasikia mambo ya maziwa ya Nyayo. Kwa hivyo locally pia tunaweza we can also produce the market locally, kwa sababu if for example we say every school will be consuming coffee, isn't that enough market for our coffee? Isn't it? Si ni kweli? So ni ile kitu tunahitaji katika nchi yetu ya Kenya ni kuambiana ukweli. Na mimi nashukuru sana kwa sababu ni ngumu sana katika serikali zimepita. Unaona naibu wa rais amesimama mbele ameketi siku 2-3 anasikiza farmers. Hii ni kitu ambayo haijawezekana. Kwa hivyo our deputy president, thank you very much for listening to us. Hata kama tutasema vitu ambavyo mimi haziendani na venye policies zinatengenezwa, mtatusamea kwa sababu bado tuko huku mashambani. Si ni kweli? Mimi tunajatumia language ambayo haiko free na nyinyi. Kwa sababu nyinyi mnatumia policy making language. Sisi tunatumia mambo ya kahawa, mambo ya majani huko kwa shamba. Na maybe that may be the difference why maybe sometimes you may see as if there is a difference between us and you there, because the language maybe you are using is maybe different from what you are using. But sisi tuna represent the ground iko hivyo. Our deputy
Hebu niulize swali. Wale watu walizungumza hapa walizungumza juu ya, did they speak on your behalf? Wale walitusomea vitu hapa, did they speak on your behalf?
Wale waliongea hapa ni wale ambao walituwakilisha.
So did they speak on your behalf?
Waliongea on our behalf.
Very good.
Na media,
now that you are guided, I want you to respond to what Governor Sang has said. Si uliandika? So that you, because now you una introduce vitu mpya.
Hapana.
No, seriously.
Wacha nijibu, nimeandika. In fact nimeandika kwa smartphone. Kwa hivyo nawakilisha vijana.
Ndio hivyo.
Nawakilisha vijana.
Just guidance kidogo Wewe unajua ni digital.
Mimi sijaandika kwa karatasi.
Haya, andika. Very good.
Nimeandika hapa. Kwa hivyo our governor of Nandi ameuliza mambo na coffee board. Akauliza akaona kulingana na yeye coffee board itasaidia mkulima apate mapato mfuko. Si ni ukweli? So mimi nataka kukujibu ni kuambia hivi governor, coffee board ikisaidiwa na goodwill ya serikali ambayo tumeiona farmers watapata kitu mfukoni. Kwa hivyo sisi kama farmer pia tunaunga mkono Coffee Board iendeshe shughuli zote za kahawa ili mwananchi, kwa sababu the denominator in whatever you are doing, a farmer should be having something on the pocket. Na farmer akiwa na something on the pocket, hata hii mambo ya tunasema mambo ya financial haitakuwa na issue, kwa sababu kila mtu atakuwa na uwezo wa kununua. Otherwise, thank you very much. Na Governor Mudhomi, thank you very much for having us.
There was another question to respond to. Yes.
Let me respond to Governor Sang.
Thank you.
About not mentioning cartels. Governor Sang, we gave the solution. We gave the solution. If we aggregate our coffee here, and every factory has its coffee, and the buyer is on the other side, whether it's from China or America, where is the cartel coming in? Where? So we gave the solution. Aggregate the coffee, final.
Maybe just, can you give this one to stand? Mwalimu, simama hapo. Tell them unauza kahawa yako pesa ngapi, na unatumia cartel gani, na pesa inaingiaje. He is among the chairmen who are getting the best. So wacha atuambie hiyo cartel yake ni gani.
Okay, thank you, Your Excellency. Nikisimama hapa, acha niguse kidogo kabla nifike hapo juu ya governance. Nikisimama hapa, mimi nasikia uchungu kwa sababu mnatuita cartel. Sisi wakulima. Na vile nafanya bidii nione mkulima wangu ameenda juu. Kwa hivyo tuwezi sema there are some leadership in factories or societies who are not doing what is supposed to be done. But my big question is, who is to blame? All cooperative societies are under supervision of Department of Cooperative. The bad thing is, how cooperative officers, they are always there. Lakini siku ile society itaguka, ndio wakati wana kuja. Who has failed? For sure. It is the government itself. So I think from now you should not be blaming the organization, blame the Department of Cooperative. For sure. Okay, Daroine, I'm the chairman. Now, I think I'm the only factory I've managed to pay 100 shillings and above for 9 consecutive years. Reason, and the only secret, as a reader, I should take control of my coffee. And that's what I have done. Yes, the Kenya law today require I appoint a marketer under Mira. I also do that. And I wish today the law is going to change. I don't have to appoint those. I do it myself. Okay, what I do is I have to make a forum for my coffee. And in fact, if my marketer sells 2 bags of coffee or 100, I do my calculation. Where am I heading to? Am I heading to pay my farmer 60 or 80? My marketer sells another bunch of 200. I do a calculation. I know I'm heading to 100 now. As I start here today, for sure, we have agreed with our farmers, they should not be paid below 100. Sometimes it gives me a lot of stress. Sio mimi nauza kahawa, lakini when I for my coffee, naambia my marketer, hiyo kahawa ukiuza na hiyo bei, utaniua. But I always take care. The quality of my coffee is good. It depends. If you have a good quality, you have powers to negotiate, for sure. But if you don't have a quality, you don't have that powers. we agreed from farmers, let us do good farming. We produce quality coffee. As it is now, we get our coffee according to AAA, B, PB, C, and make sure AAA, B, and the PB, where the coffee money is, we get over 95%. That way, I can manage to pay over 100 all the years. And that way made me produce 1.9 million Sasigo factory last year. In 2019, I got a direct buyer by the name of Traboka. We agreed, the farmers, okay, there before I had paid 300 for more than 4 years. We agreed he should pay my farmer 100 shillings. And in fact, I sold my coffee in form of parchment. I paid my farmers when the coffee was still in the factory. And in fact, if we can allow the buyer to come direct, buy my coffee in form of parchment, that's where the benefit is. I think we should stop talking about all the value addition. Let us value add what we are consuming locally. And for me, I do value add my coffee for local consumption. We call it Mount Kenya AA coffee. Your Excellency, I shall make sure you get a packet of that.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes.
I know you have now passed the message.
Yes.
The only thing you didn't tell them is that you are radical. No, don't go there. That's between me.
Let's
and
mention
you.
it.
No,
yes.
You know what I meant? He is in my county.
Let me say something.
Yeah, just mention that a
Yeah.
little. And so,
to succeed in this business, Your Excellency, of coffee, we must make radical changes, as my governor is saying. Yeah. Anything short of that, we are just going round and round. Let us assume there are no laws governing coffee. We start afresh and we move on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have already had. No, just a minute. Now we are. I'm getting instructions.
I think, Governor,
yeah,
we need to wind up with the farmers because we need to give the members of National Assembly.
Yeah.
I think we have had quite a bit.
Yes.
And Chairman Daroine factory is in my former constituency. And I want to confirm that what we are talking about is leadership. Yes. This chairman has offered good leadership because his neighboring society in the same topography, the same soil, the same people does very badly. Yeah. It's about leadership and what he is saying, the ability to make hard decisions.
Correct.
So even as we do these changes, we must look at the Cooperative Act and we must come up with an integrity criteria so that you put the right people in leadership. Because even this country, even all companies, even all institutions, they are as good as the leadership. So farmers, tumeshukuru ndio tuende to the next session.
Asante sana.
Asanteni sana, mwapigie makofi.
Wapigiwe makofi mazuri. Thank you very much. Asante.
Governor, thank you kidogo. Nimebeba zawadi ya His Excellency.
Kuna zawadi yako hiyo. Hii ni ya value.
Hii ni Kipkelion.
Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency akiona kahawa tofauti tofauti kutoka wakulima wetu, asanti sana. Your Excellency, sir, when all is really said and done, it all ends in unlocking legislation and policy to ensure success in this sector. With your kind permission, sir, I wish to invite Majority Leader in the National Assembly, Kimani Ichung'wah, to kindly lead us through the next session, whereby we'll also have a plenary from the joint representative from the Senate and National Assembly. Welcome, Leader of Majority.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Cabinet Secretary is present, members of Parliament,
our farmers and all stakeholders, good evening. I think in the interest of time, we'll be very quick, Your Excellency, and I want to begin with very brief remarks, just in relation to some of the issues that have been mentioned. Top among those issues, Your Excellency, is the Coffe bill that was before the Senate in the last assembly, or rather in the 12th Parliament, which lapsed at the end of the 12th Parliament. But I'm happy to inform this forum that that bill has since been reintroduced. It was reintroduced in April of this year. It has already gone through the first reading in the Senate, and the Senate Committee on Agriculture, the Standing Committee on Agriculture, whose chairman is the first person I will invite here, the Honorable Senator Murango from Kirinyaga County, has already conducted, together with our senator from Nyeri, the Senator Matinga, and the Standing Committee, they've already gone through public participation. And I'm certain they have met many of these farmers back in their localities, besides those who are here, even those farmers back in our localities. We anticipate, and I'm told from the Senate reliably, that this bill is due for second reading. Hopefully, this coming week on Wednesday, although we were consulting with Senator for Kirinyaga and agreeing that we need to incorporate all the views that we hear in this forum and other fora before they go for second reading, so that whatever they get out of this forum will enrich part of their debate in the Senate. And I'm sure I have seen him together with the other senator, Senator Karongo Adhangwa, Senator Matinga here, taking notes, including the Senator for Tharaka Nithi. They have been taking notes, and I'm sure they will have a more enriched debate when this second reading begins in the Senate. We anticipate, and Your Excellency would have agreed with Senator Murango and our chair of the Agriculture Committee in the National Assembly, that they will work together also with the Coffe caucus, led by Honorable Amushomba, the Member of Parliament for Githunguri, to work together to ensure that when the bill leaves the Senate, they are largely agreed on between the Senate and the National Assembly, so that we don't have back and forth between the two houses. And the two chairs of the committees will be consulting together with the members of the Coffe caucus, so that they sit together and have an agreed on bill, so that we save on time. We don't have to come make amendments in the National Assembly, send it back to the Senate for concurrence or to take it through mediation. And Your Excellency, I must thank you and your office, because this forum here serves as part of that enrichment program towards what will come into that bill. And we've had many issues, right from what our farmers are saying and all the other stakeholders, from the direct sales. And Your Excellency, you must forgive me, because Kikuyu constituency, we don't have a single bush of coffee. Therefore, all these things, you can trust me. If you don't trust any other member of parliament, trust me, because I have no vested interest. Those who are coffee growers, some may be roped in by those people are here being called cartels. Those are here being called marketers. Therefore, you can rest assured that you are leader of majority, having no vested interest. I will be your gatekeeper and your watchman to ensure that at least, that's why, Your Excellency, even not coming from a constituency that grows coffee, I took keen interest to be here, so that we make sure that the views that come from this forum, and even those that the Senate has collected, and we've agreed with the Honorable Mutunga, that even when the bill comes to the National Assembly, if he is going through public participation, he must go right down to where the farmers are, so that even the fears and the anxiety that may be in this room, that maybe not all the farmers are well represented here with what Senator Sang was calling select farmers. We get to where the farmers are, right in their cooperatives and in where their farms are, so that they also hear from farmers and enrich the debate. Lastly, Your Excellency, there's something that was mentioned that by, I think it was Mushwe, Mwalimu, that Ethiopia, they are consuming almost 50% of their coffee. We must ask ourselves, how many of us in this forum here have taken a cup of coffee today? And maybe it's a cultural thing. We are more of a tea nation than a coffee drinkers nation. So we grow coffee, but we expect others to to take our coffee and not to ourselves, and probably that's one of the other things that CS Moses Kuria and CS Linturi will need to work on, as Honorable Sabina was saying, to also have a culture change in what we take, not just from alcohol, even those who can partake of coffee, to partake of coffee as a beverage to take. With those few remarks, Your Excellency, allow me to invite the Honorable Senator for Kirinyaga, the Honorable Senator for Nyeri County, Honorable Wamatinga, or Senator Wamatinga, also to be joined by our chair in the National Assembly of the Agriculture Committee, the Honorable Mutunga, the chair of the caucus, the Honorable Gathoni Wamushomba, Member of Parliament for Githunguri, the Honorable Member for Tinderet, Julius Meli. I did hear your governor complain that your farmers are not represented, but at least the representative of farmers in the name of the Member of Parliament from Nandi County is here. We have the Honorable Wachira Karani from Laikipia. I was hoping when I heard the governor say the two words that are coffee growing, I hope they are from the Honorable Wachira's constituency. Oh, they are, Laikipia West. Honorable Wachira, if he's here. Honorable Sabina Chege, who happens to be also the Jubilee Party leader. We will not keep you for long, I know. Your Excellency, I know where Sabina is going. She has to attend to a medical appointment in Nairobi. And since there's one more seat, let me also invite the Honorable Mukunji from Embu, if he's still here. Mukunji. Yuko. The Honorable Mukunji. Sasa tumejua wale wamesneak. Where is he? Honorable Mukunji, we are inviting you here. I was just about to announce there is no quorum since you are not there. There's a seat for you here. I want to begin by inviting the Honorable Gathoni Wamushomba. I believe you have a short presentation. I hope it's not very long. Then so you don't need to make a presentation? Yeah, we don't have okay. Yeah. Senator?
I'll be very quick. Okay, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, and all the protocol observed. I have a very short presentation, but because I had already done it, it's better just to go through it. And much of it has been said. That's the coffee value chain. Kuna wakulima, mnaona ni wangapi, but I want to go directly to number 3. Kwamba mkulima akitoka number 2, kahawa yake huwa anaipotezea number 3. From there, the farmer doesn't have the rights of his or her coffee. It's a very long value chain, and this is what people are calling cartels, which should be removed. Key statistics, this has been said, lakini mkiangalia kahawa imepungua kuanzia 160,000 metric hectares in 1990 to 119,000 in 2020. Kwa hivyo, hiyo ni kusema ya kwamba mpaka tujue tutafanya nini ili wakulima endelee kulima kahawa. These are the coffee marketing systems. That is one is central auction system, direct sales and sales catalog by each marketing agents. But hata kama kuna direct sales, nadhani sheria za Kenya bado zinahimiza unafaa uwe na agent wakati unauza kahawa. So we need to change that. Challenges in coffee sector zote nimelist hapo. I'll just mention of the shortage of capital. Hapa ndio wakulima wanapewa loans ambao zinawafunga na contract ambazo hazifai. Na kwa hivyo wakipata mali ya kupata pesa za kulipa school fees and the rest, wataweza kuokolewa na kufanya decision ambazo zinafaa. Those are still the challenges. we have the weak coffee sector systems. Hapa ukiangalia, ukienda Ethiopia, wako na kahawa. Kuna zingine wanaitanga kama Sidama, Harar. They have their own branded coffee zenye wanauza abroad. In Kenya, hatuna kahawa tunauza abroad. In fact, sometimes when I was in US, nilipata kahawa ya Rungeto ikiuzwa na hata wajui, and it was costing to nearly 9,000 per kg. We go to recommendation and proposed interventions. Lazima tutoe quality coffee so that we can get more money. Aggregation ni wameongea. Hii mambo yote tumesema hapa, nimesikia wakulima wameongea because tumekuwa nao wakati tulikuwa tunafanya public participation. Mambo ya GMR, the cherry fund, regulation, naenda haraka na imeisha, ili nisipoteze tu muda kutayarisha na sitaonyesha watu. Asante sana.
Thank you, Senator. In fact, all these members are telling me many of the issues they would have conversed have already been conversed, and they just asked me to allow them each to just make one comment. Then if you have any questions, they want to leave the stage with a very firm commitment from both the National Assembly and the Senate that whatever it takes to fast track the bill, we will do, and of course incorporate all the issues that we have had you raise, right from support for growers, to the majority representation of growers in certain organizations, including the Coffee Board of Kenya, the Coffee Marketing Association, all those coffee associations. Therefore, let me invite Honorable Sabina, who, Your Excellency, will indulge myself and the Honorable Sabina and Meli. We will begin because we are running short of time. Honorable, if you are not ready, can invite Meli first. Oh, you are ready. I saw you writing. It's okay.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and mine is going to be very brief. When we are looking at the way forward, I want first to give a, as a member of Agricultural Committee, and I'm with my chair, and our CS is here, that will look at the coffee bill. That's the first commitment that I want to give. And I would suggest to Senator and our chair that once we retreat back to Parliament, let us see whether we can even have joint sittings, so that what is going to be agreed at the Senate level, when it comes to the National Assembly, we don't need to go back to public participation again. We pass the bill as it is, and that will have saved a lot of time and energy, and we'll have a solution for our farmers. That's my first commitment. The second one, Your Excellency, there was something I brought in Parliament before we closed, and this was about our cooperatives trading at the coffee exchange. I am also sure whether that has been achieved yet, and they had gone through all the processes and they were ready to trade. I hope and I wish, even with the Minister here of Agriculture, that that issue can be resolved as soon as possible, where the cooperatives that have qualified to trade through the coffee exchange, that they are allowed to trade as soon as possible without any further delay. The third one, Your Excellency, when I asked about the home or the husband that the farmers would prefer to belong to, they never really committed the husband that they like. But Your Excellency, I was just thinking, we have a Ministry of Fisheries. I don't know how much they bring in terms of income to this country, where we have coffee as a standalone, and that's why I was against it being under AFA, and it brings a minimum of around 22 billion income. Your Excellency, I think the biggest favor you can do, apart from even saying whether it goes to the Ministry of Agriculture, we even qualify to have a Ministry of Coffee if you have Ministry of Fisheries and fish don't bring any money in Kenya. So that would be my request. So let us not belabor the point. The farmers have the capacity. We can be able to have higher yields and more income, and we can be able to have a Ministry of Coffee as a standalone. That one, somebody said radical. I think it's a radical recommendation, but if that's what it takes for us to have our farmers have money in the pocket, why not, Your Excellency? Na wewe ndio uko hapo saa hii ndio tuongee on our behalf. So thank you very much. I want to end it there. Your Excellency, I'll ask for permission to leave. Of course, I have to go and be attended. Na nataka kutuma Sicily Barire to your friends who bet me yesterday. They were women. Honorable Millie Othiambo and Honorable Rosa Mbuyu. They even stole my phone. Please ask them hata kama walinipiga wanirudishie simu. And now, Your Excellency, vile wezi nipata, tumana simu ikuja, ilikuwa iPhone 14 wakachukua jana. Asante sana, God bless you, and I wish all the farmers the best. We are committed to bring reforms in the coffee industry. God bless you so much. Asante sana.
Thank you, Honorable Sabina. I want to invite Honorable Meli.
Thank you, Your Excellency and members present. I want to raise three issues. One, I want to say that the bill at the Senate was the bill that we had in last Parliament. I, Honorable Mutunga, Honorable Mwamushomba, and it's a very good bill. And I want to say that as a member of Parliament and as a farmer, we are confirming to you that we are going to pass that bill. Excellency, that bill is very good. It actually took the interest of farmers. We went across most of the counties, Nandi, Nyeri, and all these parts of the country. And actually that bill was very good. And the three members who are here, we are members of agriculture at that time. Two, there is an issue which I think I've not heard being discussed here, is the issue of loss during milling. I know it's a controversial issue, but a number of farmers or societies lose their coffee during the milling time, especially on percentage loss. I would wish that during the bill, we address that issue, so that losses are actually not lost during the milling process, and some are even lost by some people who just want to take farmers' crop. Three, we have a very important issue also, especially on production. Your Excellency, somebody just said a few minutes ago, and I think we were here, that the moment we are going to really produce enough per tree, we can even overtake many other countries. And I want to ask the Minister of Agriculture and the governors who are here to really take it up. Not only about marketing, but we tell the farmers to produce. So that by the end of the day, you can go to some places in my constituency I've seen, where some people have 3, 4, 5 acres, but one person who has taken care of his coffee in 2 or half an acre, they do very well. So that is why we need to really improve on the issue of husbandry and many others. But the last thing I want to emphasize most is the government commitment and our commitment to really destroy the cartels. Your Excellency, some of these cartels even do coups in cooperative societies. I've seen it in my places where they even foment trouble, just because they want to take coffee from one cooperative society, from one sales agent to another one. So if the chairman of that cooperative society refuses, then they foment trouble, and they can do a coup, and then they install somebody who will sell coffee to them. So some of these things actually we really need to be very serious and make sure that we actually make coffee the goal that we had in the 70s. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, as I mentioned, I will invite the chair of the Agriculture Committee to conduct us through the next presentations. But just one issue that I forgot, Your Excellency, to mention. Your Excellency, you are aware that His Excellency the President is very keen on all these reforms, right from tea to our coffee sector. And you remember when the finance bill came to Parliament. Let me say, because it was mentioned here by farmers, Your Excellency, His Excellency the President has already instructed the chairman of the Finance Committee on the question of the jute bags that the farmer mentioned here. I can't remember whether it was Moshe or the lady who mentioned the question of bags, to make sure that those bags are zero rated, and eventually we do hope that the challenge that Honorable Sabina Chege has given to the Honorable CS Moses Kuria will be able even to manufacture these bags locally and cheaper and even a better quality, so that we are able to package our coffee in our own bags, and those that will not have to take away a lot of money from farmers. Your Excellency, in conclusion, I just want to say that as we have committed, we will work together. This is one of the bills that you will never hear any tussles between the National Assembly and the Senate. We will ensure that we iron out all the issues and we agree, and we incorporate all your views and those of other farmers who are not represented here, to make sure we fast track that bill. And before we break for the next long recess, sometime mid-August, we should have completed work on that bill as soon as the Senate is able to send it to us in the National Assembly. With those remarks, Your Excellency, allow me now to invite the chair, or who will be in charge of that bill, here to conduct the next session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you very much, distinguished participants. Your Excellency, I will just make one or two comments, and then I go ahead and invite my colleagues. When we do the bill, we look at the entire value chain. We look at before production, what happens. At production level, what happens. When it comes to processing, what happens with marketing and even the consumption. So looking at this particular bill, we had actually looked through it before we sent it back to Senate. And we had gone through most of those stages. Unfortunately, somewhere along the line, we saw the gazettement of some regulations. And that took us aback. Because studying the regulations, we realized that we are sustaining the same problem we are trying to deal out within the bill. And that is why we had to form the caucus. And I want to thank Honorable Muchomba for one thing. We put a spirited approach, put in a lot of effort to make sure that that particular regulations were dropped. And I want to thank Your Excellency and the President himself and the CS Agriculture for ensuring that that particular regulation or piece of regulation was dropped. Regulation 2022. Having seen that, many things have been discussed here, and we've been taking notes. There are certain things that look gray, needs to be looked into. The morning, Your Excellency talked about the Coffe Research Foundation, which used to be the Coffe Research Foundation, currently the Coffe Research Institute, which is in Cairo. We visited the Coffe Research Institute when we were dealing with this particular bill. And what we found at the Coffe Research Institute was devastating. They are supposed to be the pioneer research institute of this country, producing new materials for production and productivity enhancement, growth tolerance, and increased growth rate, but they were in total disarray. The levels of support we were wanting, there were so many problems. They did not have many scientists, they needed more scientists. The resource allocation levels were also not quite wanting. There were many problems. And we wrote a report and made proposals. So some of the things that we are discussing here today will follow us even as we do the bill. And I want to tell the stakeholders that we've been quite attentive and we shall do justice to this particular bill. Two things. Number one, people have been wondering where the problems of coffee started. And the reason why the leader majority tells us to go back to the farmers. The problems of cooperatives, the problems of coffee did not begin at the far end of the tail. It did not begin or did not settle at the end of the value chain, at the marketing end and the transformation end. No, they started very early. Some of the reasons why the older farmers, and I have no reason to defend them, I remember my governor articulately saying that we need to make the management of the coffee for cooperatives and the management of the entire system. We need to bring in new blood and younger blood. The older people trusted younger and more enlightened people to manage their cooperatives. And what did they do? They became wise. There used to be a window for loans. They could seek for input loans, for fertilizer, and it went further. They became more innovative. They could get even the cherry loan during the time of harvesting. And things were becoming okay. The farmers were paying. They went further and further. If you want weeding loan, you could get. If you wanted to spray, you could get some money. At the end of the day, they became gluttonous. Until there was even a loan called inflorescence loan. What I'm trying to say is that when coffee flowers, then that would guarantee you to get a loan. That has absolutely nothing to do with operations on the farm. There is nobody who influences inflorescence. There is no input required for inflorescence. Even if, of course, you could irrigate and cause inflorescence. So many things came up. Then the loans became too much for the farmers to bear until sometimes farmers could go to the factory at the day of payment and they are told you have a debt. I remember one time my own father had harvested more than 1,000 kilos. And he went to the factory when the money was supposed to be paid. And he was told, Mzamtunga, you have a balance of negative 160 shillings. After delivering more than 1,000 kilos, that's where the problem began. So these others came in and they took up, perfected the art, and therefore they developed what the Honorable Cecily was talking about. So 2 things. Number 1, we shall deal out the mischief within the coffee value chain. And the second thing, there is this animal called DSS. I don't know how many people were very clear on DSS. When we talk about DSS, this is basically the decision support system. When you're dealing with products from very many people, so many of them, everybody must be paid individually, but you are selling collectively. There is an aggregation level at the factory, and then probably, there is even an large aggregation when you have to probably aggregate the green bean. Therefore, so many people will have to be paid at the end of the day. The principle is, whether it is direct sale or auction, DSS is necessary. Because you must get the details. I remember there's a farmer who has stood here and said how he computes. He has to calculate. And he has said if you sell at parchment level, before you go for processing, I think it will be better for him because you'll avoid the cost of processing. So that system is important because you are making a decision involving so many people who have aggregated their product into one unit, and this unit is bought as a whole. The final thing I want to mention is that Kenyan coffee is demanded out there. I've had an opportunity to go for Kenyan coffee marketing. We have had a good opportunity even to go to America, the state of Nebraska, and I'm happy that Laban is here. Laban is one of the people. Laban, are you there? He was here in the morning. He's one of the people who has even established an auction yard. I remember we took the immediate former Cabinet Secretary Agriculture to launch the auction yard in Nebraska. And that is still moving on. And Laban was telling me today that they have even opened up to Ethiopia and other countries, and they're going to other parts of Africa. They want to cover the entire Africa. One of the things we learned when they came here is that we have not promoted our coffee. Our coffee is not known. Our coffee is 100% specialty. That means we don't need to market our coffee other than just ensuring that it reaches the consumers. If you can be able to enlighten the consumers on the availability, the quantities, the regularity of supply, manage the chain, the management of the product management, in terms of supply chain management, then we'll sell everything. So, before I get too engrossed in that discussion, let me say that one of the things we learned, 2 things. 1, we need to promote our coffee, especially in the American market. We learned there are more than 31,000 outlets, coffee drinking outlets, and we are occupying less than 1% of that. And the final thing is that ours can purely be sold as a specialty. Let me call Honorable Wamuchomba to progress this particular discussion, Madam.
Thank you. Your Excellency, we are very, very happy that this is happening because this is what we have been waiting for. I come from coffee growing area. I am a farmer. I deliver my coffee produce at Gathiroine Coffee Factory in Githunguri. And I'm a very sad representative. Reason being, Your Excellency, and I'm sure you are aware, there are some 6 factories in my constituency that are yet to be paid to date. And if they are going to be paid tomorrow, the money that is available for them, they are only going to be paid 11 shillings per kg. Not because they did not do their work in the farm, not because they did not dry their coffee as required, not because they did not dry and do all the pulping as needed, but some people colluded, withdrew all their money from the marketer, and they have no way to follow them up. So those farmers are going to receive 11 shillings, Your Excellency. It is very sad. I feel the pain as a mother, as a leader, and as a farmer, because I know what farmers go through. How I pray that now that we have pronounced ourselves in this forum, that marketers are going to be dealt with effective by the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Agriculture, Honorable Mithika Linturi. How I pray that you're going to make sure that any marketer who is holding farmers' coffee today remits the money to the farmer without further delay. Because you know what most marketers are going to do? They are going to stop paying farmers because they know that new systems are coming in place. We are tired. We are really tired of talking about marketers. Marketers do not operate in isolation. They operate under an environment that is regulated by the government, and the government must take the blame for the mess that is in the coffee industry. Now I have a question. Now that we are recommending, and this question I really would want the farmers to think about, especially the farmers who are here. Although I still asked a question, because I didn't see my farmers in Githunguri or Kiambu here, how they were selected. Maybe somebody is going to answer me later on. But I am asking, now that we are saying we bring back Coffee Board of Kenya, we are saying we bring back KPCU of Kenya, we are saying we bring back CRF, which is borders in my constituency. Have we interrogated the issues that made them deliver us to where we are today? Because the same institutions are the reason why we are here today. The mess that we are in today, they are also players in the mess. So when we revive them and we bring them back, are we sure we are going to do it right? So that we don't come back here in 5 years and say, oh, we still have a problem. That question, I think I'm going to throw it to the Cabinet Secretary in charge of cooperatives and in charge of agriculture. My other issue is that I know you know, most of you because you're stakeholders. Back in the 80s, we used to have over 1,800 factories in Kenya. Come to the 90s, the factories came down to about 1,470. Down to the early 2000s, when I and Mwalimu Moshwe were in the radio, we were operating with about 1,200 factories. To date, Your Excellency, factories have closed down. We are at 870 factories. And every single day, factories are closing. What measure are we going to put in place so that they don't close anymore? What are we going to do? Your Excellency, there was some fund that was established called Coffee Revitalization Fund. A fund that was created to digitize factories, to provide eco-purpose, like my sister, Honorable Cecily Barire, the governor, was saying. And that project have only done successfully less than 200 factories phase 1, which was to digitize the factory and to put CCTV cameras. Your Excellency, as we speak, most of those factories that have closed down, they are vandalized. The assets are gone. So even as we put laws here in this room, we must also ask ourselves, if we are able to bring back the laws and the institutions we are talking about, how do we reinvest back to make sure that those factories that closed down are back in operation? And how do they operate? Your Excellency, it's my humble submission that you revisit the issue of Coffee Revitalization Fund, which only need budgeting at the National Assembly under your instructions, so that we can revive those dead factories for the sake of our farmers. The reason why I'm very heavy on this is because in my constituency, Githunguri, a whole society has closed down, leaving only one factory operational. So all the farmers that were taking the coffees to the 11 factories that closed down, they are all lumped up in one factory. And the issues of governance, the issues of coffee thirst in the estates is serious. Your Excellency, on that note, you provide security to banks so that their money cannot be stolen. All commercial banks have security, Your Excellency. They get policemen. Can we get support, our factories, especially during the drying of coffee? Can we allocate security men to go and guard our factories, especially when we are drying our coffee? Because most of the factory chairmen who are here can confirm that most of the bills that they are not able to pay come from provision of security men to go and guard coffee during the dry season and the transportation to the millers and roasters. I have so much that I can give today, but I cannot hide my joy today because finally somebody who is passionate about coffee, who is none other than our Deputy President, has delivered the first step towards the right direction in the coffee sector reform. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Muchomba. Let me now call upon Senator Wamatinga, Senator from Meru.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the Deputy President. Mine would actually not be a lot, but I want to confirm to you that we really did go to most of the counties that produce coffee and tea and cotton. We did do a public participation, and I do want to confirm to you that the farmers who are standing here, what they said is largely what we got from the farmers' machinani. Mine, Your Excellency, sir, or to tell you, we are almost moving to the second reading with your indulgence and the coordination of the team between the team of the drafters of bills in the National Assembly and the Senate and some assistance from the Office of the Attorney General. Before we go into the second reading, we can incorporate all the amendments that need to be done. That would mean that we would pass the bill in the second reading with all the amendments. It would mean that in a term of about a month, we would be done with the bill and it should be in a position to be signed into the law. Your Excellency, sir, my chairman and our committee, we sat down and realized that some of the support that we don't get from the other regions that don't grow coffee, it's because they will not have any interest. Therefore, we took it upon ourselves to start a cotton bill that is also in the second reading, to do a dengue bill that is also in the second reading, having done public participation, to do livestock bill that is also in the second reading, will be going to the public participation, and finally, extension, agricultural extension office, which is also in the second reading. Why? It's because we want to lobby in the other members so that they can also support us in this process. As you go to explain to the Kenyans what we are doing, I can assure you that all these bills are already in the House, on the front of the House. They've gone through the first reading. Cotton and dengue